All right, today we have a very special episode where we are going to tell you each one key statistic on offense that has to change from last year to this year if we're going to be successful. Drake, roll that video.
Don't tell me what to do.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another edition of Locked On Seminoles. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Drake here, and today we have a full house here. The triumvirate has returned. I got Max and Dave with myself. That English is hard today, folks. Max, Dave, how are we feeling today?
How many of you do you think there are, just for baselining?
You should ask my therapist that question. He'll probably give you several answers.
Yep.
Depends on the day. We're good, man. Me,
We're good.
other me, the me over there, all are doing
All three of me.
phenomenally.
All three of me.
Yeah, folks, as you know, basically hosting is now my forte, and I've been trying to get adjusted to it. Max has been helping me out a lot because, trust me, I don't know how he's been able to do it without actually tripping over his own words, as I just did just now. But today, I want to talk about that. We're going to be doing what's Dave's baby today. Dave, let the folks know what we're going to be talking about today and kind of how you want to go about this.
Okay, so offense, I think, is the easy one where there's a lot we could improve on. So my idea was we're each going to pick one offensive statistic from last year. We're going to explain why it needs to improve, why it's so important that it was poor last year and it has to be better this year if the offense is going to improve as a whole. There's so many to choose from here. I mean, the defense got better as the year on. I don't know that the offense did, but I think there's some reason for hope here.
Okay. So why don't you go first, actually, since this is your idea, and also basically debut your new look that's going on right now, which I kind of would love for you to just shade that right on camera right now. That'd be actually a great Patreon goal if we did that.
It's awful. That thing's horrible. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but it's bad, folks. It's not good.
I am not going to do that. I think we all know that now. The hair stays, the mustache stays. Anyways, so last year, Florida State, we didn't pass the ball a lot. And we especially didn't pass the ball a lot when Jordan Travis was playing. We finished 99th overall in the country in pass attempts per game, 27.8 per game. Compared to the year before that, we did 32.9 per game. That's almost a 20% drop off. We just weren't throwing it all that much. That may make sense for some reasons. The running backs were very good last year. Ja'Shawn Corbin was very good. Obviously, Jordan Travis is an effective runner. Mackenzie Milton, when he was in the game, his arm was, let's say, limited. So I understand why we didn't throw the ball a lot, but there was some pretty simple evidence to suggest we should have done it a little more, which is to say, in games last year when Jordan Travis attempted 25 or more passes, would you like to guess Florida State's record?
You already told me this, so I won't guess it, but just know in my mind I'm guessing it.
We were 3-1. That's a small sample size. He only attempted 25 passes in 4 games.
That's not though. That's not. I understand you caveating it, but that's a third of the season. If I do something for a third of the year, my boss is going to be like, Max just likes to show up late every third day. It's just kind of his little thing. Small sample size, though. No, that means a third of the games you didn't start Jordan Travis.
Yep.
You lost all 4 of those. And then the half of the game, the 2/3 you did start him, the times you let him throw 25 times or more, you won 3 of those games. Now, where there is probably, I assume, and I'll let you tell this because I actually don't know this part, who were those games against? Because that can obviously skew the sample.
Right. The wins were against Syracuse, Miami, and Boston College. The loss was against Florida, which I still contend we should have won. But you're right. That is half of the games that Jordan Travis started. He attempted 25 passes. We won 3/4 of those games.
So one against a team that we would all probably power rank in the top 25 last year when they had Tyler Van Dyke as their starter.
Exactly.
Lost one against the most talented team you played all year outside of Notre Dame by 3 points. Yep. And I get they didn't have a coach, but again, they're substantially more talented on paper than we were last year, or were than we were last year. And 2 games that, those teams suck, but you needed every yard you got to beat them. So it's not like they were just My point I'm making is you didn't say like UMass and, I don't know.
Jacksonville State.
So yeah.
Ish.
Anyway.
Anywho, but look, this coming from me, who is, I mean, I've grown on Jordan Travis a little bit, but I'm not the biggest fan of his. I think that would be you. You're president and CEO of that fan club. But there's something other than just like Jordan Travis is an excellent passer. That's not what the statistic is necessarily saying. What it's saying is the game plan of Jordan Travis passing the ball is effective. Maybe because the defense is scared of his legs, maybe because it's of his improvement as a passer. It could be a combination of things, but when we focused on Jordan Travis throwing the football, it worked. And in a time when not much was working for Florida State's offense, besides, the running game was working, but that wasn't necessarily what was winning us the games. Apparently, if 3/4 of the time when Jordan Travis throws the ball a lot, we win, that needs to be the formula for this year.
But is it 25 not even a lot though? Like I think that's just maybe asking for basically like a decent amount. But like I think for this offense, but I think what you kind of say also here is someone say a lot of porque no los dos, because when you said the defense is basically trying to adjust for his legs. I mean, Jordan did improve as a passer last year. When we get to my turn, I'll show you what my key stat was for this coming season. But Jordan definitely did, improve as a passer going towards last year. And then also with the UF game, I think Max has done a really good point illustrating how effective as a passer he is. But also with those losses, if you look actually at the game itself, it's a lot of unforced errors when it comes to defense, wide receivers, and special teams. Because I think most of us remember here why we lost the UF game, and that was mainly the Ontario Wilson drop punt.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty. This is simple. This isn't like some nuanced statistic. I mean, it's a very simple passes attempted, and it's not necessarily the reason we won 3/4 of those games. But I don't know. Maybe we need to dumb things down with this team. Maybe it really is that simple. Let Jordan Travis throw the football. Maybe that leads us to nine wins next year. I don't know, but I saw enough, and that's enough for me to say we need to throw the football more.
And just like we nailed that, folks, if you're looking for someone to hire at your firm, at your company, head over to LinkedIn Solutions. Dave, you're a small business. You work at a small little law firm over there. Have you ever used LinkedIn to hire out people out or no?
I have. It is really easy. It's intuitive. Everybody at this point seems to be on LinkedIn, so the pool of candidates is there. The pricing is reasonable, and we were able to find several quality candidates that we chose from.
And just like it helped out Dave, it can help you guys out. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions may apply. And folks, we are back. We are rocking and rolling here on Locked On Seminoles. We want to thank each and every single one of you for making us your first listen each and every single day. And let's go back with the key stats. Dave went first with his we need to pass the ball more with Jordan Travis or whoever the QB is. So I'm going to go kind of, a little more micro with that. It should be going hand in hand with the stat. And I'm going to go actually with our wide receivers need to be better in man coverage on 101. Last year, FSU's wide receivers were 106th in the country in success rate versus man coverage. Now, Max, what does that mean exactly?
That means that they weren't great at getting away from one person covering one person. When you go into coverage, you're either in zone, which means you're responsible for an area of the field, or you're in man, which means that you're one-on-one. And I know that sounds reductive, but it's important to illustrate the point. Football's an 11-on-11 game. You got 5 people blocking, right? You only have 3 or 4 people on the opposite side of them. You got to have one guy throwing the ball. You're already at a net loss of 2 guys. You want to bring someone in the backfield because your offensive line isn't very good and you need extra protection, or bring a tight end in to block. Now you're down 3, which means they get 3 more guys to cover your guys than you get to send out there. If you can't have some of the guys that are running routes be better than the guy covering them, well, how the heck are they supposed to do it when there's extra guys on top of them? They can't. So what does the other team do in response? They go, well, they can't even get off one-on-one coverage, so let's take those extra 3 guys and blitz the quarterback with them and, start racking up the sacks. So getting off man coverage is vitally important for 1, catches, and 2, to keep pressure off your quarterback.
And this is also kind of why we illustrate here how Jordan Travis is probably not only the best option for this team, but also the best option just for the makeup of the entire roster, because the offensive line last year and the past few seasons has been nothing short of probably very below average. And if you had someone like, we had an episode, I think Dave and I, like a month and a half ago, where would you have your QB? Would you trade your QB from an ACC team like a Phil Dracovic or Sam Hartman and actually bring him here to FSU? Most of the answers are no, because we don't think that actually either there's those QBs, which are more pocket present quarterbacks, they would not be able to be successful here. Where Jordan actually was able to move around, gave his wide receivers extra time to kind of beat their man-to-man coverages. Even though the top 3 wide receivers with Andrew Parchment, Ontario Wilson, and Keyshawn Helton actually averaged out 25% in success rate. Now, Malik McClain averaged 75%, which is something that basically we're seeing moving forward with him as wide receiver 1. But now you bring in a Johnny Wilson, a Micah Pittman, Winston Wright Jr. potentially actually might be able to play. Probably, I'm going to push back a little bit to basically he might be playing for the Louisville game after the bye week after Louisiana State. But to me, you bring those guys in. If you actually at least win your matchups, you'll actually be able to give Jordan a lot more looks down the field and also open the playbook in his offense a lot more, which with a team that I think his offense actually could be probably top 40, maybe top 35 in the country.
Yeah, and this is one of those stats where it sounds like some super advanced metric, and you have to dig to find that kind of stat, like what their success rate was against man coverage. But I also think that was something that every fan picked up on just watching. Like, your eye test told you the receivers weren't getting separation. Every guy, when a ball was thrown to them, seemed like they were maybe a half a yard away from the DB, which is why you saw a lot of the incompletions happen like they were. Until FSU figures out a way to get guys open on the field, it's going to continue to seem like, why is it that every other team makes it feel like the field is way bigger than we make it look on offense? And that is the most frustrating feeling as a fan.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you look at these highlight catches and you look back and you're like, okay, well, that was a great back shoulder catch. We had a few of them, but why was he having to make those? Like, why does every other team, when they're in short yard situations and they mix it up with a pass, have a tight end, like in the Notre Dame game, running free that they can dump the ball over to, and we don't? Well, because they're just sticking linebackers on our guys and telling everyone else, hey, watch Jordan Travis. You look at the Clemson game, and we talked about this at length then, and they used what they called bracket coverage. That was the buzzword of the week, was brackets, brackets, brackets. What a bracket does is it's 2 guys running kind of a man zone. So you're either running an outside in bracket, which means one guy's responsibility will be the outside of the field, one will be the inside, or you're running a top-bottom bracket. One guy's going to cover the low side, one guy's going to cover the high side. Now, those 2 guys in that bracket are assigned to one receiver. The reason I'm bringing this up is because the only way to beat that is to be able to beat one of the guys badly enough in man that the other guy in the bracket has to come help even when it's not his responsibility. So if I'm coming up and I'm running a dig route, once our receiver cuts inside, the inside guy will take him. If that dig route can't get off of the inside guy that's taking him, then the other guy in the bracket gets to just keep his eyes on Jordan Travis, and that's why they were able to prevent the run so effectively against us. So if they know you can't beat them in man coverage, you really can't do much else with your offense other than try to use trickeration. And what's the buzzword, or the fan buzzword of last year? Scheme guys open. Yeah, that only works so many times. Like, right. And it's funny because it's all related. Like, okay, we want to see the ball pass more because when we threw 25 times, we were 3-1. It's like, yeah, and maybe those games those other games we could have thrown more if our guys were getting off of coverage, or we didn't have to again scheme guys open. You watch the Toa Philly clip going around against Clemson today, and it's like, it's a beautiful play. I watched it 12 times, just the way they get him one-on-one. But you need to, you can't rely on that. Like, you can't be an 8, 9, 10 win team if the only time you're getting free run looks is with those kinds of schemes. You need guys that can just line up on the edge and get themselves that open. So that's my rant for the day, but I think it's a great stat, Drake, because that was a huge problem with this team last year.
And that's why I think bringing in someone like Johnny Wilson is so important. Even if he, we saw basically, we hear him practice, he performs very well, but in the spring game, he kind of shuts down a little bit in front of the lights. Yep. Even if doesn't have the best hands, you still have to account for this kid who is 6'7". He's massive. He's fast. And like, you can't just leave him by himself. So kind of like, at least you have a threat for him as a wide receiver.
Let me stick with the same example. And I don't know, I hope this is easy to digest in this medium. Wish I had some tape to show it. But let's use a guy like Deuce Spann, right, that we know has flat-out speed. So you have a Clemson scenario. Let's say they're playing over-under bracket coverage on Deuce Spann. What will happen is they'll have a cornerback lined up one-on-one against him. The safety will be responsible at a certain depth. So they'll say, okay, cornerback, you take him to 12 yards. Okay, kind of keep your eyes on Travis, though. Safety, your eyes are on Travis the whole time until he gets to 12, and then you're going to pick him up. If Deuce Spann can blaze past the cornerback to where that cornerback's lost coverage at 6 yards, The safety can't just sit at 12 yards flat-footed watching Jordan Travis, because now Deuce Span's going to get a 6-yard window in there to catch the ball from Jordan if he's able to bust the coverage with just his speed alone. So that's only one scenario where you've now opened up maybe a Jordan Travis run, because the first time that happens, even if Jordan, holds the ball too long and doesn't get rid of it, now the safety is going to start cheating up to help at 7 or 8 yards. And now that's going to create an avenue for Jordan. So it's just, you need those man beaters on the outside. I tried my best there. I tried as hard as I could to hold it in. I did, with the mustache. I mean, anyway, you need the guys on the outside that can win one-on-one battles, or you're not going to challenge safeties. You're not going to challenge linebackers the right way, and you're going to have too much pressure on your quarterback, and it's just not going to create the opportunities we need. But I agree. Yep. I mean, the reports from Camper, we've got some guys this year that have some speed. So hopefully it's not as big of a problem, because 105th in the nation is what did I say to you, Drake, or Dave? One of you, I guess it was in the group. I was like, well, I mean, they we're relying on someone to watch the play and know if it was man or zone. And it's like, dude, we were 105th in the nation. I was like, yeah, they didn't get it wrong that many times. Right. Okay, if we were like 42nd, I'd be like, well, maybe they just, no. 105th, that's unacceptable.
Bad. So we're at 99 and 105th so far. Can't wait for this last one.
Oh, I mean, listen, there's nowhere to go but up, because the bar right now is in hell when it comes to this passing offense. But before we go to break, I actually want to ask you both a quick rapid fire question. Who actually scores the first TD between the two of them? Is it Johnny Wilson, or is it the darling of camp right now in Deuce Span?
Deuce Span.
Dude, I have no idea what this is like some crazy betting on the live bet thing. I would put my money on Johnny Wilson.
Johnny Wilson. Yeah, I was going to say Johnny Wilson, which means I was going to be wrong. So then I went Deuce Span, which means I now will be wrong. So it will be Johnny Wilson.
Yeah. He probably catches some screen pass like 12 yards out, and just because he's massive, runs 3 people over.
They did.
But I don't know, dude. I think Deuce, I think Deuce is going to have a better year than people think. And I want it on record. Like, I did say that when we first brought him in. I watched this tape and was like, look, I know it's 5 catches, but like there's something about this kid, and I'm excited to see it.
Can't teach fast.
You can't teach fast, and you can't teach delicious flavors over at Built Bar. Dave is the cookie dough connoisseur. Max is the brigadier general of the peanut butter brownie brigade, and your boy is the cherry barcia Casanova. But if you don't like those 3 flavors, there are 16 other delicious flavors to choose from. Right over to built.com. Use promo code LOCK15. That's LOCKED15, and you get a 15% decrease off of your order. Once again, promo code is LOCK15, LOCKED15 at built.com. Folks, let's get healthy together. And folks, we're at the end, and there's no better way off to just to hand the ball off over to Max. That's called foreshadowing there, folks, with his key stat. Max, why don't you take us home with a nice little touchdown run?
Yeah, it's a really simple stat. You got to improve your field position. You have to get better at not getting the field flipped on you. And we saw so many examples of this, but none as clear as the Miami game. Because I think that the thing that teaches you more than like getting screwed or having consequences from your mistakes are the narrow misses. Where like you get to celebrate it, but you're like, ooh, that was so close to being bad. Remember when there was like a minute 25 left or whatever, and we got a stop against Miami, and they punted the ball, and whoever was back there, I honestly don't remember who it was, even though I watched the condensed game like a week ago, decided just not to catch it at the 20-yard line, and got about as lucky as you can get, because the ball rolled all the way from the 18 into the end zone before the 3 Miami players that were right next to it were able to down it. But if that goes differently, if that ball's going, I'm not joking, 3 miles an hour slower, we are on the 2-yard line, we lose that game.
Yep.
Florida State was 126th in the nation last year out of 129, 3rd worst in starting field position yards to go. On average, Florida State had 74.4 yards to go on every single drive. Folks, that's yikes. You don't take every drive's not a kickoff. You cannot start like that. That's just not the way to win football games. Who was worse? It was Vanderbilt and Arizona.
Ooh.
And Arkansas State. Sorry, you were tied with Arkansas State. So those are teams you don't want to be like. Guys, it's a simple equation. If the field is shorter, you're going to score more points. You know who was second in the nation?
Georgia?
Cincinnati.
Oh.
Cincinnati. You know who was 5th? Utah. Georgia was, sorry, my thing's actually technically reversed. So they were 117th worst, right? So what does that make them? 12th best? UCF right above them. You go up and Wake Forest. Wake Forest was 19th in the nation in average starting field position. Yeah, it's a lot easier to score more often and have that offense when you're also not starting. They, by the way, theirs was 69. Nice. But that's an extra 5 yards compounded on every drive. Do you know how many more yards that is to get to the end zone in the aggregate? How many drives do we run? I think you run 14 per half, or 14 per game ish. So yeah, you're talking 160 drives. Yeah. Yeah, you times 5, whatever that is, 5, 7. You're talking almost 700 extra yards to go to the end zone.
It's not going to end well for you.
my point is just it's such a basic stat, and I wanted to find something unique, and I liked yours with man coverage, but you just got to you have to start in better position, and that starts with just catching punts. You don't need to return them. Just stop letting them roll 25 yards behind you. Just catch them.
I always found it amusing that they call this part of hidden yardage, because this is as far from hidden as any stat on the field.
Right.
You knew Florida State was going to be starting in a position where if they didn't get a couple first downs, screw scoring. If we didn't get a couple first downs, you knew the opponent was going to start on their 40-yard line, and they were going to have to get a few first downs just to get 3 points. And that was every single drive, it seemed like. We can't be doing these 3 and outs, this run, pass, run, pass. And, it's 3rd and 8 every time. You can't do it. Doesn't work.
And it's funny you say that, because I had pulled up another stat to be a little more, sound a little smarter than I am. But it ties into exactly what you said. Florida State was 5th in the nation last year for the most drives defended and 10th in the nation for the most drives ran. So that means they ran and defended, right, more drives than the vast majority of teams. What that tells me is possession was changing way too often in a Florida State game. There were too many, it's the same number of plays. We have a whole video about this. We probably won't be able to find it to link it, but we really didn't run that many plays. So that's not why we're running so many more drives. We're running and also defending so many drives because possession just is constantly changing in our games. And I know what a weird stat, ratio of drives defended to drives ran, but you can't have it look like that. Otherwise, you're going to get the ball punted on you a lot. And we've just gone over how when that happens, you don't start in good position. So a lot of things to fix, but hey, I am optimistic that between all of the newcomers, someone can just catch a punt.
I mean, Alex Mastromano got the new dyed hair job. Maybe his punting can actually be consistent, and he actually can, push Lou Headley to be number 1 punter in the conference. And maybe Ryan Fitzgerald can actually be automatic.
Let's not ask too much.
There are things we can lie about during camp, but that's not
one of them.
Not one of them. I'd like him just to be automatic from the extra point line. I'd be fine with that.
I think only was 2 last year.
That's too many.
Extra points. That's too many. Yeah, it's called an extra point. It's just extra.
It's
there's a reason the NFL's talked about
just
getting rid of them. I mean, but Florida State was 52nd in plays ran last year, by the way.
With 69 plays or 71 plays, something like that?
They ran 754, so I don't know what that is per game. I can tell you real quick. They ran one more play than Miami. Suck it, nerds. 62.83 per game. That's got to improve too, right? Because it's you just, again, run more plays, score more. But anyway.
Here's the good news. Throw the ball more. Get your receivers a little more separation, and just don't start with such crappy field position. And I think that's a recipe for success. Those are 3 pretty simple things. Fundamental.
Yeah. So, and again, so I've been building a stat sheet a little bit of this evening today after I got off work. That's what I did before the podcast. And, again, all these things build on each other. Florida State last year was 15th in the nation in offensive second level yards. So when they get to the second level running the ball, they do really, really well. You know how you get to the second level more? You make them spread their defenders out and cover receivers out in space. You know how you do that? You beat man coverage more often. And it goes on. And it goes on. And it goes on.
If you can't tell with the excitement, with the fervor we have for all these stats, is because FSU football is only 25 days, as you're listening to this, days away from going up against the Fighting David Duquesnes. I know how to properly say it, but it's a running joke on here, and that's not going to die. For Drake, What's up, Max?
Can you do one more thing? Florida
go
State was 122nd in the nation out of 129 in expected points based on their starting field position. So just to quantify how bad that starting field position was and what it means, they were 122nd in the nation of the computers going, how many points should they score based on where they started? The teams around them were Akron, Buffalo, Arkansas State, Georgia State.
Well, Max, just for cutting me off, I'm going to make you do the podcast little sign off, and also YouTube sign off. Where can folks, find us, follow us, and also support us at?
Well, y'all can find us just about anywhere. We are universal. Very few brands are, but we've managed to accomplish that status. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. I guess we're not on Instagram or Facebook. We're pretty much on Twitter and YouTube and anywhere podcasts are found: Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Pods. Yeah. Anyway, so folks, to hear more of us, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the video. Hit the bell. That'll turn notifications on. That way, when we do drop the videos every day at 7 a.m., boom, you get a notification and you get to come watch our bright, beautiful faces. With that said, that was Drake. That was Dave. I'm Max, and this was Locked On Seminoles.
Take care, everybody.
Must ask you a question.
I hate you so much. That's staying in.